Hey guys, it's Carly, and today I wanted to share with you some ideas for making some happy mail that has a little extra shake using some adorable Essentials by Ellen sets. For my first card, I want to create a shaker window that looks like a piece of mail, so I need a rectangle opening. Now you could use a lot of different dies for this, but if you don't have a rectangle set, I highly recommend investing in the Essentials by Ellen Essential Rectangles, because you not only get the big rectangle, you get the beautiful thin little outline that I just showed you. So after using one of those essential rectangles, I'm going to turn this panel into a shaker window by adding a little bit of acetate with some strong double-sided adhesive. Then I'm going to turn that shaker window into a shaker container by adding foam tape. I'm going to use my powder tool along the edge of the tape so it's not as sticky, and that way my sequins won't get stuck next to the edge of the tape. Then I'm going to fill it with my sequins and close it with another piece of acetate. And now my shaker is ready to go and be adhered to a folded card. I just want to decorate my folded card a little bit first. So I've got the Essentials by Ellen Sending Love and Mail Call sets, and I'm stamping those on the front of the card where the shaker window will fall. And then I'm going to do just a tiny little bit of coloring of that postage stamp before I put it all together. And then when I'm done coloring, I'm just going to add a little bit of extra double-sided tape to the back of that shaker window so that I can adhere it to the folded card. And that's how easy it was to put together this first bit of Happy Mail with a little extra shake using the Essentials by Ellen sets. I'm super excited to send this one out in the mail. I love how it turned out. Okay, so now let's work on our next shaker card. For this one, I'm starting with a piece of glitter paper. And did you know you can ink blend on glitter paper? If you're going to, because you want to customize the color, I highly recommend using dye inks and using a blending brush as opposed to pigment inks or hybrid inks and a sponge blender. Pigment inks can kind of dull the sparkle of your glitter paper, so that's why I say stick to dye. And then also I find blending sponges can kind of get stuck on the glitter and start to come apart and leave a little sponge residue on there that you don't want. So that's why I think the blending brushes work better. Now after letting my glitter paper dry for a minute, I'm going to put it into a DIY shaker pocket. You can definitely buy shaker pockets, but you can also recycle some of your craft room trash. Okay, so this plastic packaging, it wasn't from an Essentials by Ellen set because those come in really cool storage pockets. I just want to remind you. This was just from another set, and it was definitely going in the trash until I remembered that I could make a really great shaker pocket with it. After trimming off the bottom, I folded it up and secured it with some double-sided tape, and then I'm doing the same to the side, just folding it in so it fits my glitter paper better. Then I'm going to trim off the top so that I don't have that overhanging sticky part, and then I'll have an opening to put my sequins and any other shaker bits in. So speaking of shaker bits, I am going to use sequins, of course, but I'm also going to stamp a bunch of this sweet little heart postage stamp from the Sending Love set, die cut those out, and add them as shaker bits to my shaker card. After adding the sequins and the postage stamps into my shaker pocket, I'm just going to seal that up. I don't want to seal it so tight that it doesn't shake anymore, but luckily with this kind of packaging that I'm using, that I'm recycling to make my shaker pocket, that's not really a concern. It has enough give that you really can't make it tight enough that it doesn't shake. Now the next step is to top it with a shaker window. So I've got a white cardstock panel that I've die cut a heart from, and I'm going to add a sentiment on the top. Now I have got it in my MISTI with a piece of acetate on top so that I can stamp it onto the acetate first and double check that I like the placement, that it's straight, all that kind of good stuff. And then if it isn't, I can, move the stamp and try again. If it is, I can just clean off that acetate, move it out of the way, ink up my stamp, and stamp again onto my cardstock. And this time, since I didn't want to make any changes, I just put that clean acetate behind my MISTI mat for next time, inked my stamp up, stamped again onto my die cut panel. Then I'm adding a little faux black splatter with a pen because I do not trust myself with black paint. Way too messy. It would be everywhere. And then I'm just going to adhere that shaker window panel to the shaker pocket with some double-sided tape. Now last minute I did decide I needed a little something extra, so I grabbed the Peekaboo Party Animals, and because they die cut that great tucking shape, I was able to tuck him into the side of my heart and still have him holding a piece of heart postage. So I love how it turned out, and I love these shaker pocket cards because they're so flat and easy to peel, and they're just really fun. Okay, so moving on to the last card. I've got a piece of white cardstock, and I'm stamping the To label from the Essentials by Ellen Sending Love set. Then I'm adding a stamp from the first class set up in the corner to make it look like the front of an envelope. Then I'm going to take that cardstock, flip it over, and ink blend on the back just to add some color, and you'll see why in a second. After the ink blending is dry, I'm going to run it through my die cut machine with the Essentials by Ellen Breakout die. That breakout die gives you a fun peekaboo right in the middle. And since I ink blended on the back, it's going to give me a pop of color as well. This is what I'm going to use to make my shaker window. I'm going to use my bone folder to burnish down those breakout pieces just a little bit. And then I'm going to grab a folded card. I'm going to ink blend the same color of Distress Oxide ink on the front of that card. Then I'm going to use some foam tape on the front of that folded card to make my shaker container. I'm going to use my powder tool again on the edges of that foam tape to make it a little less sticky so the sequins don't get stuck on the edge of the tape. And then I'm going to fill it with sequins and close it with a piece of acetate. Once that shaker container on the front of my card is complete, I can adhere the breakout panel on top, which is my shaker window, and I'm almost ready to go. The finishing touches are another peekaboo party animal because they are so darn cute, and a little color for my Happy Mail postage stamp up there. You can see how it turned out. I think it's so sweet, and I think that breakout is going to be one of my favorite ways to make a shaker window for a while. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are leaving today with a little bit of crafty inspiration, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks again, and happy crafting!